There's a lot to see in Disney World, but that's why it can hide so many secrets.
That's why her hair is so big.
Welcome to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Number 1, One Man's Bell. Here inside Walt Disney Presents, you can see an animation layout desk from the 1940s that was a collaboration between architect and designer Kim Weber and Walt, along with some other Disney studio artists. The desk itself is on display because of that fact, and the fact that it was a completely customizable, probably what you would call ergonomically designed desk, which was unique for the era. But the reason I brought us in here today is to point out a hidden detail that actually is not listed on any of the placards. Over here next to the desk is a stool, and you actually have to crouch down and look underneath it, but you can see that there is actually a little button under there, like a buzzer or a bell, and that was so animators would be able to kick the buzzer or the bell with their foot and call a secretary over that would be able to get them anything they needed, food, beverage, I guess medication, anything they might need. The reason these were installed is because Walt wanted to make sure the artists were getting as much done, being as efficient as possible with the workday, because the schedule was so tight. Everything was rushed all the time, trying to meet these deadlines. So we installed these buzzers or these bells, so the animators, the Disney artists, would have to leave their amazingly designed, ergonomically thoughtful desks in order to get things that they needed. They would be able to stay and keep working. Number 2, space bikes. Here in Black Spire Outpost, which is kind of like an outdoor mall on Planet Batuu in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, you can look for these 3 speeder bikes along the wall. What we are going to do today is pay close attention to the green one in the middle. You can see on the side some letters in Arabic. And I actually just downloaded the Play Disney Parks app to see if the data pad would translate this for me. Unfortunately, this is not offered as one of the translation options. However, I was able to find a translator online, and even though the sort of direction of the letters was different, I was able to confirm that these letters do represent LMA, or they translate to LMA, and that is because this is a tribute to Lights, Motors, Action, the stunt show that used to be right here in this location. And since this is a motor, Lights, Motors, Action, a motored vehicle, it's an appropriate tribute right here in Black Spire Outpost in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Over here in Jewels of Bith, you can actually purchase a keychain that is an Arabic translation guide. You get one of these, then you'll have your own little translator to carry around with you for $15. I think it's a pretty cool, I don't know, this might be a necessity. Number 3, the stuff that dreams are made of. That is the last line spoken in the 1941 film noir classic, The Maltese Falcon. And the Maltese Falcon is actually hidden here. In the corner of Echo Park Drive and Sunset Plaza, you can find the rear entrance of Keystone Clothiers, which is a store where you can find all your Star Wars and sometimes Marvel, not so much anymore. It's mostly Star Wars now, and your Indiana Jones. But you can also find in the window a Maltese Falcon wrapped up, seeming to have just been opened, or perhaps it's being prepared to ship. But you can find it right here in this window at Keystone Clothiers. Number 4, window pane. Ouch. That kind. The detective office of Eddie Valiant from Who Framed Roger Rabbit is located here above Hollywood and Vine, an all-you-care-to-enjoy buffet restaurant with Minnie and friends. Roger Rabbit's silhouette is broken through the blinds, reminiscent of how Roger Rabbit broke through the window at RK Maroon's office. That's gotta hurt. Number 5, nice awnings.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mickey's of Hollywood is the first full retail location on your left on Hollywood Boulevard, right when you enter the park. But they share a signature design detail with a famous Hollywood brand with a similar name, Fredericks of Hollywood. Now, I'm not going to explain to you what Fredericks of Hollywood is if you don't know. You can go ahead and Google that for yourself if you're an adult. But what I can tell you is that the red scalloped awnings that you see here in front of Mickey's of Hollywood are very similar to the red scalloped awnings outside of Fredericks of Hollywood in Hollywood. And another cool coincidence, I guess we'll call it, is the fact that Mickey's of Hollywood is right here on Hollywood Boulevard in Disney's Hollywood Studios, and it is also on Hollywood Boulevard in actual Hollywood, California. Number 6, The Secret Sunset. There is one restaurant in Hollywood Studios I can almost guarantee you'll never eat in. The menu is posted out front, and it has some very interesting sounding offerings, but alas, you won't find it on the My Disney Experience app, and if you ask a cast member, they won't be able to help you either. That's because the restaurant, called the Sunset Room, is part of the backstory of the Hollywood Tower Hotel, and according to legend, has been closed since tragedy struck the hotel back on October 31st, 1939. Halloween night. That's also why Tower Gifts is always decorated for Halloween, because it is preserved as it was on that fateful night. I think I'll have the grapefruit maraschino. I'm not, let's see, maybe the cold consomme. I have to ask for the ingredients list and see if it's non-dairy. Well, it sounds like they were having a great night, before the elevator got struck by lightning and everybody got supernaturally trapped in another dimension. So, bummer. Number 7, huge hidden Mickey. This huge courtyard in front of the Chinese Theater, and also Echo Lake, and part of a building on Sunset Boulevard, all used to combine to form a really perfect, ingeniously designed and executed hidden Mickey right in the middle of Hollywood Studios. The only way to see this was to fly overhead or check it out on Google Maps. You can check it out now. Here is an aerial view of Hollywood Studios today. You can kind of make out where Mickey is. I'm actually currently standing inside one of his eyeballs. But changes to Hollywood Studios, like the Sunset Boulevard expansion, started to take away the perfect shape of Mickey's face. So we are left with sort of a ghost of his face. And I think that's pretty spooky and cool to think we're standing sort of in the ruin of what used to be a giant and really, really cool hidden Mickey that is still kind of here. I will never walk on this gray pavement and not think of Mickey's eyeball again. Sorry, Mickey. Man, years, 30 years. How long? Many longer than 30. Right? Yeah, I know what time is. Number 8, it's a small world after all. I know that you know there's a hidden key under the mat right when you first enter, but what you may not know is that some of the Muppets used in the actual Muppet Vision 3D are inside the pre-show room high above our heads. Sort of in the style of It's a Small World, they may not have been appropriate to use in any other production. So they put them to use as pre-show theming right in this room. Number 9, Upright Citizens Brigade. The Citizens of Hollywood street performers were, in my opinion, one of the coolest parts of spending a day in Hollywood Studios. Basically an improv troupe dressed in 1940s old Hollywood style apparel, roaming Hollywood and Sunset, making our days extra magical with the best medicine, laughter. After the COVID closure, Citizens of Hollywood never returned during the phased reopening of Walt Disney World until one day in January 2022, during a Run Disney marathon weekend at Disney World, They appeared on Sunset Boulevard right here where I'm standing, cheering on runners and making the crowd that quickly gathered for them laugh out loud. At the end of the day, they had vanished once again, leaving behind their signatures in chalk on the sidewalk right here where I'm standing, but they've never been seen since. Number 10, Be Gone. Right here in front of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, you can see celebrity hand and footprints, just like at the real Chinese theater in Los Angeles. My personal favorites were created by every Golden Girl besides B. Arthur. This could have been some foreshadowing, since B would go her own way a few years later when Golden Girls ended, and the other three women signed on for a short-lived spin-off called Golden Palace. But you can at least come visit Betty White, Estelle Getty, and Rue McClanahan, and of course, my very favorite Golden Girl, Rick Moranis. Just kidding. I think he was a stand-in for B, maybe. The other three are right here side by side, and they're all in heaven now, and I love them. It's so cool to come and be able to visit this, these places where they actually put their real hands and their signature in cement in front of this very theater back in 1989. Number 11, Flower Street. Another window above Hollywood and Vine is for Flower Street Productions and mentions Bob Weiss as studio head. Flower Street Productions references Walt Disney Imagineering's 1401 Flower Street address, while the window itself tributes former head of Walt Disney Imagineering, Bob Weiss. Number 12, Turn. Grill here at Ronto Roasters in Galaxy's Edge is powered by a repurposed pod racing engine from the Phantom Menace. The droid who spins the meat is an 8DJ8, and I feel anxious every time I walk by and hear it say turn, 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 because I feel like it's been given this job against its will, till I remember that it's a droid and probably doesn't have feelings. But then again, maybe they do. Number 13, Cathartic Carthay. This store on Sunset Boulevard is officially named Once Upon a Time, but it is set inside a replica of the Cathartic Circle Theater, which is the same theater in Hollywood where Walt Disney had the premiere of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1937. Sadly, the real Cathartic Theater closed in 1969, making way for, drumroll please, an office building. But you can pay your respects here in Hollywood Studios as well as in Disney California Adventure, where the Cathartic Circle restaurant actually allows you to eat inside the iconic theater. Number 14, DJ PeeWee. The DJ at Oga's Cantina in Galaxy's Edge is Rex, the former pilot droid from the original Star Tours ride. And he's voiced by Paul Reubens, the actor best known for playing Pee-wee Herman. You're able to go into Oga's Cantina, drink a space cocktail, hang out, and bop to some tunes by the one and only star of the original Star Tours ride, voiced by Pee-wee Herman himself, Paul Reubens. That is so cool. Number 15, Dark Crystal. Here at Savi's workshop, each type of lightsaber hilt has a unique story and meaning behind it. Once you've completed the ceremony during which you are paired with your Kyber crystal, you are able to purchase additional Kyber crystals upstairs at Doc Ondar's. If you choose to buy a red Sith crystal from Doc Ondar's, there's an estimated 1 in 100 chance you'll receive a rare black Kyber crystal. The black crystal will turn your lightsaber red, but it will react differently with the holocrons that are also available for purchase at Doc Ondar's. Are you one of the lucky few to get one of the black crystals? Let us know in the comments below. Odds are one of you out there has gotten one. That is, if every single one of you has purchased a Kyber crystal, which is probably... Anyway, let us know. Number 16, the Sweat Box. This is called a relief, otherwise known as 3D plaster artwork in plaster. But what I really want to show you is this right here. It's a reference to an old filmmaking tool called a moviola. That's it right there. This is the device Walt Disney could watch and approve early stages of the animation process to make sure everything looked good. The small room where the machine was kept was dubbed by animators at Walt Disney Studios as the sweat box, both because of the heat generated by the machine and because of the sweat generated by the anxiety of how Walt would react to their work. You can see it represented here on the relief decorating the animation courtyard arch, where an animator can be seen checking his work on the latest Goofy movie. Also, if you can't find it on one side, it's actually replicated over here on the other side. So either way, you can find a reference to the sweatbox. Number 17, dated containers. Here at Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo, look for the numbered containers that are on the roof. Outside, you can see the numbers 77 and 83, which stand for the years the first and third Star Wars movies came out. You're not able to see 80 from the outside because it's already being delivered down into the middle of Docking Bay 7 to be unloaded. So you have to go inside the actual restaurant and look up to see the 80 printed on the cargo container that has just been lowered down through the ceiling. And 80 would be the year that the second Star Wars movie came out. So it's the years of the first three Star Wars movies, 77, 80, and 83. How cool is that? Number 18, Lakeview. Here in Disney's Hollywood Studios, Echo Lake, the lake itself, has always been called just that, but it wasn't always the name of this entire land. No, back when Disney MGM Studios first opened, this land was called Lakeside Circle, which is kind of appropriate because it's a circle around a lake. Very much lakeside. I could do this all day. Are you enjoying this at home? Should I make videos where all I do is spin around in circles, showing things that are circular? It's very cathartic for me. I don't know if it's cathartic or hypnotizing, actually. I can't stop. This is very, and it's also the water there running. This is, I'm having a, is this Zen or is this a psych ward visit? Number 19, no smoking. In the pre-show for Tower of Terror, actual footage of Rod Serling from a real episode of The Twilight Zone, Season 3, Episode 8, called It's a Good Life, was used, and a new script was performed by an impersonator copying Mr. Sterling's distinctive voice. If you look at Rod Serling's right hand at the beginning of the pre-show video, he is holding his fingers in a distinctive configuration, much like that of someone holding a cigarette between two fingers. This immediately caused a rumor to be started when the ride opened in 1994 that Disney had digitally removed a cigarette from Rod Serling's fingers for the pre-show. But if you go back and watch this episode, which I just did, he's not smoking a cigarette there either. So then I thought maybe they went back and removed the cigarette from that episode of The Twilight Zone to be consistent with the iconic ride pre-show, but I noticed upon watching again that Rod Serling moves his hand from the front with the cigarette holding fingers, I'll call them, directly to his side and then into his pocket. This wouldn't be consistent with someone actually holding onto a cigarette unless he dropped it to his side, which would be strange to do during the intro of a little short intro for a TV episode. Like, you're gonna just drop your cigarette on national TV? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. I believe this has been debunked. I don't know. Watch the episode and tell me if you think I am right or wrong, and then let us know in the comments below. Please, this isn't something that I can confirm anywhere. This is my little detective work, which goodness knows I can be wrong. Number 20, Legends Only. Kevin Brazzard is a cast member and stunt performer who originated the role of Indiana Jones in the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular right here in what used to be Disney MGM Studios, now Disney's Hollywood Studios. Brazzard can be seen in this show to this day, 35 years later. Now he plays the director of the movie that they are filming in this stunt presentation. He also trains new performers behind the scenes. He was recently honored by Disney and the Indiana Jones franchise by being invited to the red carpet for the premiere of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny in 2023, where he posed for a picture and mingled with original Indy Harrison Ford. Number 21, No Smoking Part 2. What's interesting is there is at least one confirmed case of Disney removing a cigarette from someone's hand, namely Walt Disney himself, who famously got the digital wizardry treatment in Disneyland. There's another popular myth that Disney does this to all photos of Walt Disney holding a cigarette, but with backlash over the practice in 2014, Disney apparently reversed their, I guess, the program or the initiative, whatever the decision that was made to start removing cigarettes from his hand in photographs. The public backlash was so kind of dramatic that they pulled back on it, and they haven't apparently been doing it since. But that doesn't stop people from believing that Disney removes cigarettes from Walt Disney's hands in every single photograph you see of him. So are any of the photos in Walt Disney Presents edited? It does not look like it to me. My kind of hypothesis is that maybe instead of editing cigarettes out of his hand, they've just started selecting pictures where he's not holding a cigarette. M-O-R-T-I-M-E-R. That spells Mortimer. Right here on the corner of Hollywood and Sunset Boulevards, our next secret can be found at the base of this working, functioning traffic light. Right here, follow the black and white stripes and you'll see this little symbol right here. You can see this says Mortimer & Co. 1928, and it's a reference to Mortimer Mouse, the original name for the character who would become Mickey Mouse, but was renamed Mickey upon Walt's wife Lillian Disney's insistence. Thank you, Lillian. Mickey is much more catchy and easier to sing than Mortimer, as I just demonstrated, and also my deepest apologies to the entire YouTube universe for having to hear me do that. But 1928 was also the year Mickey Mouse debuted, kind of also the year that Mortimer ceased to exist, we'll say that. Number 23, Hidden Fozzies. All throughout the Muppet Vision 3D Theater, you can see decorative wreath details that are representations of our beloved Fozzie Bear's head. Number 24, Rockin' Roger Rabbit. Welcome to Roger Rabbit's Hollywood, AKA Maroon Studios, AKA Rockin' Roller Coaster. Yep. We're on the site of a planned and very much announced Roger Rabbit Land that would have included an eatery, multiple rides and attractions, as well as character meet and greets. But an argument between Disney and Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment over ownership of the Roger Rabbit character, along with declining interest in the franchise, left us with a hole here on Sunset Boulevard that only Aerosmith could fill. Number 25, GeForce Mickey. GeForce Records is the name of the fictitious record label and recording studio where Aerosmith are currently recording their new album, or at least they have been in the Rock and Roller Coaster storyline since the ride opened in 1999. It's taking a while, okay? But genius takes time. You can see cool theming details all over the courtyard in front of the ride, but if you come back here to the gift shop, walk around the shop, at the exit of the ride, you can see the GeForce Records logo stenciled onto the brick wall, and in here, where you were able to purchase your ride photos. You can see recording equipment around, as well as some cords that make the shape of a hidden Mickey. I'm not totally sure, but I think this may win the prize for the most rock and roll hidden Mickeys in Disney World. If you know any others, please let me know, but these are definitely pretty cool. Number 26, this place is real. This was a personal discovery for me, riding in my friend Celise's car in her neighborhood in LA a few years ago. We drove by the Los Angeles Farmers Market and I yelled, "Look, it's Sunset Ranch Market from Hollywood Studios!" Till I realized that this is just inspired by the real thing that I was seeing in LA, which is embarrassing, but that actually happened. The Los Angeles Farmers Market has been operating in some capacity on the same location since July 1934, when farmers were invited to park their trucks on what was then an empty field and sell their produce from the beds of their trucks. Next thing you knew, wooden booths were set up, and an expansion in 1941 added a series of basic buildings and a clock tower that looks just like that. Over the years, the Los Angeles Farmers Market has grown to attract 3 million visitors each year. It is even said that when Walt Disney was designing Disneyland, he did some of his work while dining on one of the farmers market patios. And apparently, elements of the market's unique design are incorporated into his original drawings for the park. So this might not be the first time a Disney park has drawn inspiration from the Los Angeles Farmers Market. Number 27, Pier into the Past. This is a billboard advertising Paradise Pier, which is actually a reference to a former theme of a land in Disney California Adventure, now known as Pixar Pier and Paradise Gardens. Before the Pixar characters moved into this area, it was a throwback to classic seaside amusement parks like Coney Island in New York and Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk and Santa Monica Pier in California. While this is no longer a tie-in to a current land in another Disney park, it is a really cool throwback to a tie-in that once was. Number 28, Human Autonomy. The ride vehicle for the Tower of Terror is actually an autonomous guided vehicle. Autonomous meaning it drives itself, guided meaning it follows RFID chips implanted in the floor as a guide for staying on track, since this ride moves through space without a track. Now consider the fact that this was 1994, 30 whole years ago, that Disney sent us from one elevator shaft to another, passing through dark ride elements, all without tracks or drivers. Disney's next trackless ride wouldn't debut for another 6 years. Pooh's Honey Hunt in Tokyo Disneyland in September of 2000. Number 29, look for the golden frames. Here at the Hollywood Brown Derby, you can dine in a recreation of an iconic Hollywood institution that sadly doesn't exist anymore, other than here in Disney's Hollywood Studios. At least there's a restaurant. There is actually a Brown Derby over at Universal that is a retail location. This is the only one in the world you can actually dine in. While the caricatures all over the restaurant with black frames are reproductions, and you'll often see them repeated. If you look around the entire restaurant, you'll see the same famous faces as caricatures different times throughout the restaurant, multiple times. But the ones in the gold frames out front, right when you enter the restaurant, are said to be originals. I just checked with cast members again right now, and they all absolutely confirmed the fact that those are originals. I said, do you mean they're reproductions of the original photos that were here? And they said, no, those are the photos, the actual photos and the map from the Hollywood location of the Brown Derby. There were 2 locations originally. The original first one of them was in the actual shape of a hat. That's the one that's recreated over at Universal Studios. And this one here in Hollywood Studios is a recreation of the one in Hollywood that looked a lot like this. Mini Millennium. Here on Batuu in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the Millennium Falcon is parked outside of Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, because within the story of the ride, you're boarding the ship in order to play one of 3 roles in running it. I like to be the engineer, which is very unpopular. You have the least to do, but it's the least pressure, and then I can sit in the back and watch everybody else freak out and have a good time, and that's fun for me at this point in my life. The other roles are the pilot, which is probably the most desired, and then the second is the gunner. But put me with the engineers in the back. I'm very, very happy there. But if you come over here and look at the underside, this is so embarrassing. I can't remember where it is. I've definitely found it many times. I wish there was somebody that could give me a hand. All right, what we're looking for is a mini Millennium Falcon, which is embedded into the underside of the full-size Millennium Falcon. It's a cool little Easter egg that was put there by Imagineers, and I'm looking everywhere for it, and I can't seem to find it. I wish someone could help me. That is incredible. And can I say who helped me, or do I have to keep it secret?
You can say, but you can't tell Chewie I'm not telling you secrets about the Falcon. He's not gonna like it.
I will not tell Chewie anything. I will keep this our secret, Vi.
Good luck, Craig.
Thank you so much. It was so good to meet you. Thank you. And just like that, Vi Marathi to the rescue. How magical is that? And how cool is it to have a little mini Millennium Falcon? Maybe it can fly off on its own and do little side missions. I love it. Number 31, there's a giant. Here in Toy Story Land, everything is extra large around you because you've been shrunken down to the size of a toy. It's fun to see the giant boxes of Tinker Toys and Cooties that make up the restrooms. Over to the side here, you can see a giant footprint belonging to Andy, which gives you an idea of just how little we are in this land. Number 32, thanks bro. Lots of familiar names return to their roles in the Toy Story universe for the ride Toy Story Mania. The musical score for the ride was composed by Randy Newman, who also composed music for the Toy Story movies. You can look up his original song for the ride called The Cleaner and hear it all over Toy Story Mania. From the cast, Tim Allen, Don Rickles, Annie Potts, and John Ratzenberger returned to their roles, while Jessie, who is voiced by Joan Cusack in the films, was voiced by Kat Cressida on the ride, and Woody, who is voiced by Tom Hanks in the film, is actually voiced by his brother, Jim Hanks.
Hey, howdy, hey! My name is Woody. You new to these parts? Well, I hope you enjoy playing with toys, because it's playtime!
Jim Hanks, who does a perfect impression of his brother's iconic voice. In fact, any toy you buy with Woody's voice, any presents in a park, anything that's not taken directly from a movie, and even then his brother has done some re-recording for the films, you're actually hearing Jim Hanks, not Tom. What a nice job to get from your older brother. I think that's very, very nice. Family matters. Number 33, blink and you'll miss Binks. Star Wars Episode 1 introduced probably the most divisive character in the Star Wars universe, Jar Binks. Kids loved him, old school fans were horrified. He was goofy in a way that had not really been seen before in Star Wars. Well, here in Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, if you look closely in the display all around us up on the upper level, you can see Jar Binks, not depicted as the trash some fans might see him being, but as solid gold. What side of the Jar Binks argument are you on? Please comment below. Number 34, Double Trouble. Actress Lindsay Ridgway portrayed the role of a child actress in the pre-show video for Tower of Terror that you can still see to this day. She is the only actor in the pre-show to reprise her role for the 1997 Tower of Terror movie starring Steve Guttenberg and Kirsten Dunst, which, side note, is weirdly good and you should try to watch it if you can find it. Number 35, oh cool. the prop from Horizons again. Okay, I know I've talked about it a lot, but Horizons was a ride in Epcot that I loved very much, and so did a lot of other people, and it was replaced by Mission Space, and I'm still not over it. But there is a prop from the original ride in Backlot Express. I'm weirdly lurking out front, preparing to take you in and show it to you. This is a really delicious quick service restaurant. I know I say that about, honestly, the quick service restaurants of Hollywood Studios are very, very good. Even ones that maybe weren't as good before are great now, so you can't go wrong. But we're gonna go inside right now, not to eat, but to take a look around. So if you look up there above the little office, you can see the Horizons Pegasus hover lift, AKA the Mesa Verde hovercraft, right there. Some people say it's a mold that is used to make them, was used to make them for the ride. Well, other people say that that is one of the actual props that was used, and they just removed the paint or the wrap or whatever was over it that made it look fancy. In any event, some remnant of Horizon exists inside Backlot Express. So whenever I'm here, I try to pay my respects. And it's doing the thing where everything gets bright and white again. I'm in heaven. It's beautiful here. It's called Backlot Express. Who knew? Heaven on earth. There's a little thing called Backlot Express. I'm the Cynthia of Hollywood Studios. Sorry, Emma. You have something new to be afraid of. Except I won't be scary. I'll be so nice. I'll be like, Emma, I'm here. It's heaven at Backlot Express, and thank you for visiting. And would you like me to get you something from the kitchen? It's not stealing. I'm a ghost. And she'll say, sure. I'd love to try. What's the specialty? And I'll say, there's some things that I know about that no one else does that are in the kitchen, and I'm gonna go get them. Did you know you can have ketchup with your French fries? You can here at Backlot Express. And I'm gonna get that for Emma and surprise her here in heaven. Number 36, do puppets go potty? This is Gonzo's Royal Flush, a themed bathroom here in Muppets Courtyard. If you're a fan of the classic Muppets films, but not so much the newer content, you might not know that this is actually the setting in which Kermit, Walter, and the rest of the Muppets find Gonzo running a thriving used toilets business in the 2011 movie, The Muppets. I think I saw it. I was living in New York. Things were hazy. Things moved real fast back then. They do now here in Walt Disney World, but you know, it was a different, I can't remember if I saw it. Is that bad? I should probably watch it. I remember feeling a little triggered by it, like why are they doing this to the Muppets? But now it's old enough that I kind of wish another Muppet movie would come out, so maybe I would like get into it. Or maybe this restroom was the push that we all needed to watch it if we haven't already. I don't know, maybe it could end up being your number one movie of all time, or maybe it could be your number two. What? Number 37, good boy, Buster. Here in the queue for Slinky Dog Dash, there are so many amazing things to see, but one really cool secret is that you can turn around once you enter the queue, and on the back of the sign that tells you the current standby wait time, you can see Buster's name on the back. Andy borrowed Buster's collar to complete his masterpiece of a ride and queue in Slinky Dog Dash. Number 38, getting an earful. Here inside ABC Commissary, which is a great quick service restaurant here in Hollywood Studios, we can spot something super rare. And that is the lost and somewhat forgotten park icon of Disney MGM Studios. The Earful Tower stood where Slinky Dog Dash is now located and was removed to make way for Toy Story Land. But if you look above the kitchen, you can see murals depicting the golden age of Hollywood Studios when it was Disney MGM Studios, including the only depiction of the Earful Tower that I know of here in Hollywood Studios, in modern day Hollywood Studios. She's a Scream! The Echo Lake area is dominated by this massive dinosaur-shaped ice cream parlor. Literally, that's what it is. What you might not realize when you see Gertie is that she's here as a tribute to the trailblazing 1914 animated short, Gertie the Dinosaur, from animator and vaudeville performer Winsor McCay. The Disney Family Museum said that in some ways McCay was the forerunner of Walt Disney in terms of American animation, and someone who Walt Disney greatly looked up to because of his attention to detail and the fluidity of his animation. Gertie the Dinosaur was McCay's third film and probably his most significant. In Walt's 1955 television program, The Story of the Animated Drawing, Mr. Disney said Gertie was not presented in the way modern films are shown today. It was part of a vaudeville act in which Winsor McCay himself appeared on the stage. Walt's television program even went to great lengths to dramatically recreate the original vaudeville presentation of the cartoon, in which McCay himself, in this case an actor, would stand beside the screen, circus tamer whip in hand, and interact with the projected animated dinosaur. For the short's finale, McCay magically steps into the screen and joins Gertie in her animated world. Honestly, if someone did a performance like that today, I think it would sell out arenas. Am I wrong? I guess I saw Paula Abdul opened for New Kids on the Block. She did have a screen that she interacted with when she did Opposites Attract. And so I guess that's the modern day version of this, is Paula Abdul opening for New Kids on the Block, probably 5 or 6 years ago. Number 40, fake screams. A very popular rumor about the Tower of Terror, one that even cast members believe because it is so deeply ingrained in the lore of Hollywood studios, is that you can hear pre-recorded screams playing throughout the attraction, even when guests are not on the ride. You can go ahead and Google this right now and find tons of articles stating this as a fact, but the reality is, when you ask leaders and guest experience cast members, they are quick to debunk this myth. I went ahead and asked a group of 4 guest experience cast members about a half an hour ago, and all of them said this is absolutely untrue and there is absolutely no truth to it. It's a total myth whatsoever. Sorry to be the bearer of sad news if this was something you believed, but think about how fun it is to know that when those doors open and people are screaming, you hear screams, they are real guests just like you inside the Tower of Terror, screaming their faces off out of complete terror. If you liked this video and feel like liking and subscribing, that would be great. And now go watch me tell 40 secrets in Epcot. See you next time.